What's up, everyone? My name is Rodney. Welcome to Shedskin Ideas. I am making I have a PowerPoint here to get more in depth on this original game idea that I have. Sadly, it's not as uh, captivating if you're watching, but if you listen, you should be able to get the gist of it. Yesterday was a difficult day for me while I was working on this PowerPoint. I decided to take a break, and whenever I came back inside, I tried to do some more work and my screen just stopped working. I have no idea what happened. I wasn't able to add any supporting photos. So I'm disappointed on that, but nonetheless, I have the PowerPoint. I'll be making another one um, that will get more in depth or even more depth. Well, let's just get into it. Gunner deploy. Hub, map, and class breakdown. Hub structure and map progression system. Why these spaces exist and why the tier system works. One of the biggest goals of Gunner deploys is to make the world feel like a functioning survival ecosystem, a believable social structure, and a progression system players physically move through. The hub is not just a lobby, it is the psychological and mechanical center of the game. After deployment, players return to a place where they can recover, learn, socialize, trade, prepare, and slowly adapt to life inside the system. Every area inside the hub exists for a gameplay purpose, a world building purpose, and a developer purpose. The bar/restaurant. What is it? A social recovery space where players eat, relax, observe, gather information. Large screen displays, leaderboards, deployment footage, news reports, extraction statistics, faction advertisement, and equipment promotions. What players do there? They purchase food, drinks using credits, listen to conversations, gather deployment information, learn about dangerous zones, study successful players, socialize with others. Why it exists. The bar slows the pacing intentionally. After combat heavy gameplay, players need decompression, reflection, and preparation. This creates emotional contrast between deployment, survival, and comfort. And the developers benefit. The bar increases immersion, strengthens social interaction, creates attachment to progression, allows information delivery naturally without overwhelming UI instead of menus telling players information. The world tells them. The mechanic shop. What is it? A workshop where players repair equipment, modify gear, install attachments, improve weapon devices. What players do there? Players can upgrade recoil systems, install grips, improve handling, repair damaged equipment, and experiment with builds. Why it exists. The mechanic shop reinforces player identity. Players slowly create preferred loadouts, preferred weapon feel, and class compatible builds. Developer benefits. The system supports progression, economy, customization, long term engagement without requiring unrealistic power scaling. The collector's store. What it is. A trading and appraisal location focused on valuables, relics, cards, artifacts, and rare discoveries. What players do there? Players sell collectible, trade valuables, discover item rarity, complete collections, and purchase unique items. Why it exists. The collectors transform exploration from finding loot into discovering meaningful objects. This makes exploration emotionally rewarding. And the developer benefits the system increases replayability, support long-term collecting, adds value to map exploration, and creates economy loops without relying entirely on combat. The Lookout Garden Area. What it is: a quiet, elevated area overlooking the distant deployment zones. The map themselves are enormous, far below the hubs, only partially visible. Players can hear distant activity, see environmental tones, watch weather patterns, and understand the scale of the world. Why it exists. This area exists to create atmosphere, communicate scale, reinforce immersion. The players realize the deployment zones are only small pieces of something much larger. Developer benefits. This strengthens emotional connection, world building, curiosity, anticipation without needing, um, expedition dumps. The deployment center, what it is: the central operation zone where players officially deploy into. Battle Royale, exploration, recovery operations, and multiplayer modes. What players do there: players verify loadouts, select operations, form squads, prepare for deployment. Ships or transport carry players into activity or active zones. Why it exists. Deployment becomes a physical action, not click matchmaking. This makes entering gameplay feel meaningful. Developer benefits. The deployment center reinforces immersion, strengthens world cohesion, makes modes feel connected instead of separate playlists. The Field Archive Personal Room. What it is: the player's private living space and knowledge center. Functions as a sleep rest area, map archive, replay access, and progression tracking and customization. What players do there. Players review discovered map sectors, study routes, replay discovered areas, check credits, customize their room, and manage their equipment or loadouts. Why it exists. The rooms create ownership, attachment, psychological downtime, and players feel they live inside the system. And the developer benefits. The room supports progression visibility, replay systems, personalization, and retention. Class headquarters system. Unified class headquarters system. Originally, the class system was envisioned as four separate headquarters. However, the concept evolved into a much stronger and more efficient design: one massive centralized training facility. This decision improves world cohesion, player interaction, development efficiency, server structure, onboarding, and replayability while still preserving the unique identity of every class. What the Central Training Complex is. The Central Training Complex is a massive operational facility located within the hub where all four class divisions recruit, train, sponsor, experiment, and compete for influence. Rather than functioning like isolated guilds, the classes now exist as competing divisions within the same survival system. This makes the world feel more believable, more controlled, more interconnected, which fits the lore of Gunners Deploy much better. Why this change was important. Separating classes into four completely different headquarters created unnecessary development redundancy, repeated systems, repeated obstacle designs, repeated environments, fragmented player activity. Many systems would have been duplicated. Firing ranges, obstacle courses, training logic, vendors, NPC behaviors, social spaces. By consolidating everything into one advanced facility, the game becomes more scalable and efficient. The central training complex contains specialized wings sponsored by each class. Players enter through a shared operational center. This central space includes sponsorship representatives, equipment displays, registration terminals, social gathering areas, and build testing access. The sponsorship system. Each class division offers equipment, tuning, armor, modifications, and specialized technology. Players begin aligned. Uh, Players begin aligned with one primary class sponsorship. Sponsorship. This gives major discounts, primary gear access, and stronger affinity bonuses. Cross class sponsorships. As players progress through tiers, they unlock second sponsorship opportunities. Example: a Blaze player may later gain Stone sponsorship, gain Ether sponsorship, uh, specialize further into Blaze, or build hybrid identities. Example progression. Tier 1 completion. Unlock minor second sponsorship, 10% discount. Tier 2 completion. Choose increase existing sponsorship or gain another sponsorship. Final completion. Players may fully specialize or diversify across multiple classes. Why this system is important. This prevents rigid class locking, repetitive builds, stagnant progression. Instead, players slowly evolve their own survival philosophy. One of the biggest advantages of Central Training Complex is physical build experimentation. Players do not simply read stats, compare spreadsheets, they physically feel changes. Example: a stone player installs Blaze sponsored mobility boots, then enters the Fortitude Wing obstacle course. This player immediately feels smoother movement, faster transition, improved repositioning. This makes progression tangible, immersive, understandable without overwhelming players with numbers. Developer benefits. The unified facility dramatically improves production efficiency, server structure, system scalability, asset reuse, and player density. One facility now supports onboarding, tutorials, build testing, social interaction, sponsorship systems, class education, firing ranges, obstacle courses, instead of requiring four separate headquarters, four pipelines, four social spaces, and four repeated systems. The central training complex exists to teach gameplay philosophies through experience, not through walls of text, complicated tutorials, or spreadsheets, but through movement, experimentation, combat simulation, environmental interaction, and physical gameplay feel. That philosophy is one of the strongest foundations of Gunner's Deploy world design. Neuro Replay System, grid based tactical simulation and knowledge progression. The Neuro Replay System is one of the core systems that separates Gunner Deploy from traditional Battle Royale games. Rather than treating maps as temporary arenas, disposable matches, random environments, Gunner Deploy transforms maps into learnable tactical worlds. The Neuro Replay system allows players to revisit discovered sectors, study environments, analyze encounters, practice routes, coordinate strategies, and prepare for dangerous deployments directly from the player's personal room. Located inside the player's personal room, every player has a personal living space, a tactical desk terminal, a neuro induction device, a field archive system. The personal room acts as a home, a progression center, a strategic hub, and a recovery space between deployments. Players physically access their desk, review discovered sectors, select replay simulations, and enter reconstructed environments. This keeps the replay system immersible, believable, and connected to the world. Grid based discovery system. Every map in Gunner's Deploy is divided into tactical grid sectors. The world is segmented horizontally and vertically into discoverable replay zones. How discovery works. The moment a player physically enters a new grid sector, that entire grid becomes unlocked inside the Neuro Replay system. This means buildings, rooftops, hallways, straight lines, pathways, elevation structures, and combat spaces inside that sector become replay accessible. Important design principle. Players are not required to explore every room, scan every object, fully clear every building. Instead, 1 foot inside a new grid sector unlocks that tactical zone. This keeps exploration rewarding, accessible, and constantly progressing. Why this system feels good. This creates immediate reward for exploration. Players constantly feel progression, discovery, expanding map knowledge instead of tedious, complex tracking, exhausting room by room exploration. Neuro Replay is not free roam. The system does not allow unrestricted full map access. Instead, or instant map mastery, bypassing exploration progression. Players may only replay discovered sectors, simulate earned territory, train inside shared tactical zones. This preserves exploration value, progression integrity, mastery, and map discovery. Why this system is so important. The Neuro Replay system transforms knowledge into progression. Players do not simply improve through aim reflexes and grinding, they improve through battlefield understanding, environmental familiarity, and tactical preparation and social coordination. The system naturally encourages teamwork, exploration groups, social planning, tactical discussions, and shared discoveries. Players begin discussing sectors, sharing routes, comparing discoveries, recruiting knowledgeable teammates inside bars, hubs, uh, recruiting knowledgeable teammates inside the bars, the hubs, training facilities, and deployment centers. Knowledge itself becomes a valuable social currency. Developer benefits, server and technical benefits. The grid based replay system is highly scalable because replay instances use smaller map sectors, environments are modular, simulations do not require full map server loads. Instead of tracking every room individually, the system tracks tactical sector discovery. This reduces server stress, improves scalability, simplifies streaming, and keeps replay systems efficient. Map structure, map structure, tiers, and progression system. How Gunners Deploy uses map progression to create scale, retention, and matchmaking stability. One of the core ideas behind Gunner Deploy is that maps are not simply isolated levels, disconnected arenas, one time environments. Instead, every map is part of a larger progression ecosystem. The map structure was designed to solve several major problems commonly found in battle royale games: multiplayer matchmaking, content exhaustion, player retention, and server fragmentation. The three-tier map system. Gunners Deploy uses a three-tier progression structure. Each tier increases in size, increases in complexity, increases in player count, and increases in tactical depth. As players progress, the worlds feel larger, more dangerous, more strategic, and more alive. Tier 1 Foundation Stages. Approximate size 3.6 kilometers squared. Estimated player count 50 to 60 players. The purpose of Tier 1 is designed to introduce survival pacing, teach combat flow, establish class identity, and encourage exploration. These maps are smaller, denser, easier to read, and more forgiving. This creates faster engagement, less downtime, easier learning, and stronger onboarding. Tier 1 maps: Warbrand District, Iron Room Bastion, Split Line, Tide Harbor. These maps establish environmental identity, pacing differences, exploration fundamentals, and tactical awareness. Tier 2 Expansion Stages. Approximate size 5.5 kilometers squared. Estimated player count 70 to 80 players. The purpose of Tier 2. Tier 2 expands strategic depth, environmental variation, rotational complexity, extraction pressure, and long range decision making. Players now understand their class better, know the system better, and begin specializing their builds. These maps create larger tactical decision, stronger positioning requirements, more advanced exploration opportunities. Tier 2 maps: Soul Dominion, Null Sector or Sector Divide, Equinox, Black Basin. These environments begin emphasizing sector control, environmental hazards, layered traversal, visibility management, and survival planning. Tier 3 Dominion Stages. Approximate size 7.5 to 9 kilometers squared. Estimated player count 90 to 100 players. Purpose of Tier 3. Tier 3 represents full survival mastery. These maps are massive, dangerous, unpredictable, and exploration heavy. Players must now manage resource efficiency, extraction timing, environmental adaptation, map knowledge, and long range survival planning. These maps create isolation, tension, uncertainty, and large scale battlefield storytelling. Tier 3 maps: Redline Plains, Crown Summit, Skyfall, Abyssal Reach. These maps are designed to feel intimidating, mysterious, and rewarding to master. The Release Yard. Before Tier 1 begins, players experience the Release Yard. This is the prison introduction, the false freedom sequence, and the emotional foundation of the world. The Release Yard is not counted as part of the three main progression tiers. It exists to establish tone, create emotional contrast, and introduce the survival structure. Multiplayer maps and unlock system. One of the most important systems in Gunners Deploy is multiplayer maps are unlocked through Battle Royale progression. Players do not immediately gain access to every multiplayer map. Instead, multiplayer arenas are slices taken directly from the Battle Royale map. Example: after defeating Warbrand District, players unlock the next Battle Royale stage, Exploration Access, and a Warbrand multiplayer map. That multiplayer map might be a city block, industrial sector, rooftop zone, bunker district, or combat corridor, taken directly from the larger Battle Royale environment. Why this system is important. This creates environmental familiarity. Players recognize structures, straight lines, pathways, landmarks, and tactical layouts across Battle Royale, multiplayer, exploration, and neuro replay. The world feels interconnected instead of fragmented. One map equals multiple systems. Every large Battle Royale map now supports Battle Royale gameplay, multiplayer slices, exploration, boss sectors, neuro replay, shared duels, extraction routes, and tactical simulations. This dramatically increases map longevity and development efficiency. The funnel effect. One of the strongest technical advantages of the progression system is controlling player funneling. How it works. At launch, millions of players may begin stage 1, but only the winner advances. Every match always creates survivors, progression, and advancement, which means the player base naturally distributes itself across tiers. Example of the funnel. Stage 1, largest player population. Most players are learning, exploring, progressing. Stage 2, smaller population. Players here are more experienced, have more unlocked systems, possess more map knowledge. Stage 3, most exclusive population. These players mastered earlier stages, unlocked more multiplayer maps, developed stronger builds, and possess higher tactical understanding. Most multiplayer games suffer from too many maps, too many playlists, fragmented queues, player splitting. Gunner Deploy avoids this because not everyone has access to every map simultaneously. At first, most players only have early stage multiplayer maps. As progression continues, more maps become available gradually. This keeps matchmaking concentrated, queues healthier, and server distribution more stable. Why multiplayer still needs Battle Royale. This is another major strength of the ecosystem. Some players may prefer multiplayer, tactical combat, or smaller scaled engagements. However, multiplayer progression is tied to Battle Royale advancement. This means if players want more multiplayer maps, more environments, more tactical arenas, they must continue progressing through the Battle Royale stages. The ecosystem loop. Battle Royale progression unlocks multiplayer maps, exploration opportunities, sponsorship advancements, replay sectors, and new tactical spaces. Meanwhile, multiplayer helps players improve combat skill, learn weapon handling, understand class mechanics, and practice map layouts. This creates a self feeding gameplay ecosystem. Server and development benefits. The system dramatically improves matchmaking efficiency, stability, asset reuse, content scalability, and long term retention. Instead of building completely separate multiplayer environments, developers reuse slices of existing Battle Royale maps. This means less wasted development effort, stronger environmental consistency, faster content production, and more efficient world building. Why the world feels bigger. Because all players are not instantly given all maps, all modes, all knowledge, all progression, the world unfolds gradually. That gradual expansion creates mystery, curiosity, exclusive, exclusive, exclusive. Oh my goodness gracious, exclusive. uh, exclusivity, exclusivity, exclusivity. I cannot speak. Exclusivity. My apologies, everyone. It's exclusivity. exclusivity. Goodness gracious. I'm not used to speaking so much, and I have a broken tooth, and I hope that made y'all smile. All right. Because players are not instantly given all maps, all modes, all knowledge, all progression, the world unfolds gradually. That gradual expansion creates mystery, curiosity, exclusive, exclusivity, fuck it, ambition, and long-term investment. Players feel they are climbing through a larger system, not simply queuing into disconnected matches. Exclusive exclusivity. Goodness. Multi-layer combat identity systems. The goal: the gunner's deploy does not build classes around raw damage, unrealistic powers, MMO stat inflation, ability spam. Instead, every class is designed around gameplay feel. The system focuses on movement rhythm, combat transitions, recovery pacing, survivability, behavior, combat control. This creates stronger player identity, readable gameplay differences, and long term balance and deeper replayability. The four core attributes: speed, fortitude, focus, agility. Speed, how you move, controls acceleration, sprint pressure, movement entry, and aggressive pacing. Fortitude, how you survive, controls durability, pressure resistance, combat stability, and defensive survivability. Focus, how you control combat, controls recoil behavior, precision, combat responsiveness, and awareness. Agility, how you recover, controls stamina flow, sustain, ability, recovery pacing, and action chaining. The two-layer attribute system. Layer 1, core identity, defines the survival philosophy of the classes: speed, agility, focus, fortitude. These determine role identity, combat personality, and pacing philosophy. Layer 2, subtrait feel system, defines how the role actually feels minute to minute. Subtrait controls transitions, combat rhythm, recovery flow, movement responsiveness, and weapon behavior. The system is designed around gameplay feel instead of raw power scaling. Blaze, fire, momentum and pressure. Fastest top speed, strongest forward pressure, weakest transitioning into shooting. Mentality, I hit fast, I reload fast, but I burn out. Blaze rewards aggression, confidence, explosive entry, and combat momentum. Sprint speed, how fast you can move while sprinting. Acceleration, how quickly you reach full movement speed. Direction change or snappiness, how responsive movement feels while changing direction. And sprint to fire delay, how quickly you can shoot after sprinting. Stone or earth, stability and durability, slow movement, strongest stop and fight ability, best readiness after movement. Mentality, I stay steady no matter what. Stone rewards composure, pressure resistance, defensive control, and battlefield stability. Core health, internal survivability after armor breaks. Armor strength, external protection durability. Flinch resistance, how stable players remain while getting shot. Damage bleed resistance, how much damage leaks through armor. Visual, uh, which I was not able to put the images on. I apologize. Ether, when precision and instant control. Fastest reaction and adjustment, best movement control, precise repositioning. Mentality, I control every shot. Ether rewards precision, discipline, tactical positioning, and combat control. Recoil control, weapon stability during sustained fire, aim stability, steadiness while aiming, accuracy recovery, aim reset after movement, and awareness clarity, improve combat perception. Tide, water, sustained flow and adaptation, smooth, consistent movement, best sustained flow, balanced transitions, mentality. I never run out, I always recover. Tide rewards consistency, recovery, rhythm, and adaptability. Stamina regeneration. How quickly stamina returns. Stamina efficiency. How slowly stamina drains. Armor application speed. How quickly armor is restored. Reload speed. How efficiently players maintain combat uptime. Why the system works. This framework creates gameplay differentiation through feel instead of raw superiority. Players experience movement differences, recovery differences, precision differences, survivability differences without broken scaling, excessive stat inflation, and impossible balancing. Hybrid build potential. Because the system is layered, players may gradually blend philosophies, tune behaviors, experiment with builds through sponsorships, equipment tuning, and cross class enhancements. Example, a stone player may improve movement acceleration slightly while retaining defensive identity. This creates personalized evolution instead of rigid class locking. Developer benefits. The layered system is scalable, readable, balance friendly, and highly tunable. Developers can adjust gameplay feel, tune pacing, balance engagements, and support replayability without relying on excessive damage scaling, bloated RPG systems, or unrealistic stat inflation. Why this framework exists. Most modern FPS and Battle Royale games focus on nonstop stimulation, excessive randomness, temporary engagement loops, and constant content inflation. Games like Call of Duty, Warzone, Apex Legend are designed around immediate engagement. Gunner's Deploy instead focuses on preparation, memory, efficiency, and long term attachment. The goal is not more chaos, the goal is more meaningful survival. A different FPS philosophy. Modern FPS games often escalate through faster pacing, more abilities, more effects, more randomness, more consistent or constant stimulation. Gunner's Deploy instead escalates through understanding and preparation. Players become stronger through tactical memory, route efficiency, exploration knowledge, equipment preparation, and survival familiarity, not simply reaction speed or luck. Preparation over randomness. Traditional battle royale systems heavily rely on random loot, random survivability, random weapon access, and random recovery opportunities. Gunner Deploy reduces unnecessary RNG by allowing players to learn resource sectors, prepare equipment beforehand, gather exploration materials, and study environments before deployment. This creates controlled unpredictability instead of frustrating randomness. Less RNG does not mean less tension. The framework still preserves hidden bosses, unpredictable player encounters, tactical pressure, collector item rarity, and deployment risk. The difference is tension comes from decisions instead of random luck. Players know where armor material exists, where ammunition caches are, and where repair resources exist. But so does everyone else. This creates natural conflict zones instead of artificial randomness. Exploration versus deployment. Exploration. Preparation. Exploration focuses on learning, gathering, route planning, and hidden boss discoveries. Resources are semi fixed and reliable. Players improve through memory, efficiency, teamwork, and map understanding. The atmosphere is intentionally quieter, slower, and uncertainty driven. Deployment slash battle royale competition. The deployment transforms the same world, into uh, contest survival, contested survival. Fixed supply zones create tactical hotspots, resource control, planned rotation, and meaningful engagement. This creates strategic combat flow instead of chaotic wandering. The hub philosophy. The hub is intentionally calm, reflective, quiet, and emotionally grounding. Unlike many modern shooters, the hub is not designed to overwhelm players, constantly stimulate players, or feel like a giant advertisement screen. The hub exists to prepare mentally, repair equipment, organize gear, study replay sectors, and recover emotionally. The hub is not the action, it is the pause before the danger. Persistent ownership system. Unlike many extraction shooters, players do not permanently lose purchase equipment. Weapons purchased from HQ branches remain permanently owned, stay unlocked after death, and become part of the player's long term arsenal. This avoids excessive gear fear, risk paralysis, and player burnout. The tension instead comes from maintenance, preparation, and operational readiness. Battlefield acquisition and arsenal growth. Weapons recovered during deployment can be extracted, sold, dismantled, salvaged, or permanently added to the player's arsenal. This creates meaningful battlefield progression. Players naturally expand their equipment options through survival, preparation, and successful deployment, not through excessive menu grinding or artificial challenge stacking. Weapon durability and operational risk. Weapons experience wear, stress, and uh, de- degradation during deployment. As durability lowers, weapons may suffer weaker recoil control, lower precision, unstable handling, and reduced effectiveness. This gives the hub and headquarters meaningful gameplay purpose. Players return to repair equipment, replace parts, prepare loadouts, and maintain combat readiness. The world is connected. Most modern first person shooters games require separate battle royale maps, separate multiplayer maps, separate PvE spaces, separate training areas, separate progression environments. Gunner Deploy reuses one interconnected ecosystem repeatedly. One environment supports battle royale, exploration, multiplayer slices, replay sectors, extraction gameplay, boss encounters, and tactical planning. This increases long term content value instead of constantly replacing content. Comparison to modern first person shooters development. Games like Call of Duty, Warzone, Apex Legend often rely on content inflation. This includes hundreds of camo challenges, event progressions, seasonal unlock systems, layered cosmetic tracking, and artificial retention systems. These systems require massive progression tracking, constant live service maintenance, and endless content refreshes. Database complexity comparison. Call of Duty tracks experience points, operator EXP, uh, camo progression, calling cards, event unlocks, multiplayer challenges, zombie challenges, battle royale challenges, seasonal systems, prestige systems, battle pass progression. This creates extremely bloated progression architecture. Gunner Deploy instead focuses on meaningful, persistent world tracking. The framework tracks equipment ownership, replay sectors, durability, extraction items, tactical progression, and exploration familiarity. This is persistent driven design, not artificial progression inflation. Server and system advantages. The framework reduces excessive RNG calculations, redundant map productions, ability interaction overload, chaotic loot systems, and playlist fragmentation. The progression funnel naturally controls a player's concentration and matchmaking health. The framework also creates reusable environments, reusable progression systems, and longer lasting content value. The biggest challenge. Yes, the framework is ambitious. The primary challenge is onboarding, communication, and layered system integration. Because the game is deeper than traditional first person shooter systems, but the framework is intentionally designed to introduce systems gradually. Why this framework is more sustainable. Most live service shooters survive through constant content replacement, new maps, events, camo systems, and battle passes. Gunner Deploy instead focuses on increasing the value of existing systems. Players continuously revisit replay sectors, multiplayer slices, extraction routes, tactical hotspots, and exploration zones. The world itself remains meaningful, long, meaningful. The world itself remains meaningful long-term content. Long-term player attachment. Most shooters create temporary engagement. Gunner's Deploy is designed to create long-term attachment. Players remember sectors, routes, boss encounters, preparation rituals, safe locations, hub, and people they survived with. This creates emotional investment, replayability, social familiarity, and world identity. Final design statement. Gunner Deploy explores a different direction for first person shooter designs. A direction built around preparation, atmosphere, tactical identity, emotional pacing, meaningful exploration, and long term world familiarity, where calmness matters, memory matters, teamwork matters, preparation matters, and survival begins long before deployment. Final thoughts. The framework succeeds because every system supports another system naturally. Exploration supports replay. Replay supports teamwork. Teamwork supports preparation. Preparation supports deployment. Deployment supports progression. Progression supports multiplayer. Multiplayer reinforces map familiarity. This creates an interconnected gameplay ecosystem, not disconnected modes, disposable maps, or isolated progression systems. Final closing message. Gunner Deploy is not trying to compete through nonstop stimulation, artificial progression inflation, excessive randomness, or endless content replacement. It is attempting to create a more meaningful first person survival ecosystem, one where preparation matters, memory matters, calmness matters, tactical understanding matters, and every deployment feels significant. I know that I've been calling this a first person shooter. And the truth is, the vision that I have for it could be either way. I believe that first person shooters um, have a bigger audience. So for developers listening or gamers listening, that's why I use first person shooter um, term, but I really believe that this game would be better third person. That's how I would do it. But from what I've learned, it takes a team to make a game and discussions and compromises. So I'm not too attached on the style of this game, but I truly believe it would be more successful as a third person. Well, thank you all for uh, tuning in and listening. I had a couple hiccups, right? It's humorous, and I hope you uh, found. I hope you enjoyed the video. Well, thank you very much. The next videos, I still have lots to uh, disclose with y'all, and after I do that work, I plan on focusing on designing the map blueprints for the maps, which will take a whole lot of time. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank y'all very much for listening. If you made it this far, please drop a like, share it with a game developer, game studio, or a fellow gamer. Uh, I would like to hear what y'all think. All right. Thank y'all very much. And all of you have a wonderful day.